seedings, as down to the bottom left-hand corner in the red, it is Stephano.
I love the little webcams that we got rolling as well. Like, you know, during these weird times, we're still making this as good as we possibly can. And spawning over in the top right-hand side, playing for Team Razor Edge, it is PtitDrogo.
Damn, I didn't change my overlay in-game. Oh, you know, just rusty already, Ben. Rusty already. Not even getting that done. Damn it.
You mean the one that shows you absolutely everything so you don't need to move at all?
Yeah. Oh, well.
You know, I still, to this day, like, I'm a stubborn ass. Like, I still use the default one because I love clicking everything. You know, it keeps me active while I'm obsing.
Ah, okay. I see. So for the most part, I've really enjoyed actually watching Stephano here throughout the group stages. I've really enjoyed his like late game PvZ in particular, and I would like to see him get to that. But whether or not PtitDrogo lets him get there, I don't know.
Yeah, it's always an interesting one because Drogo, for me, when he plays PvZ, it's all about these like 120 supply-ish timings, like lots of Zealots, lots of Archons. There is a little pause going on here. Drogo, for me, when I also watch him, he will... The best way I can describe this is something that Harston said when watching him. Copying Drogo is so ridiculously hard because Drogo, when he plays, he has this tree diagram of if he sees X, he then goes like, do I go with this approach or this approach? This approach. If I see this again, it's all based on this kind of like formula that he has, that he's tried to work out against everything. So if you try and mimic his play and you just do the exact same, it often won't make sense because there's always a turn here and a turn there, depending on what he sees. But this opening that he's done, he's gone for, like, obviously a pylon on the low ground, and we're back in the game immediately, by the way. Pylon on the low ground and no probe scout whatsoever. So if he got pool firsted kind of thing, he might have been in a lot of trouble. But Stephano is very predictable in the sense that Stephano isn't a guy that really cheeses, and he never has, if memory serves me right. So Drogo's been a little bit greedy here, but he's going to get away with it.
Yeah, whenever Stephano would mix in something like that, and as you mentioned, rarely it would, you know, it would be to just throw a spanner in the works beyond that. And we've always known Stephano as that kind of macro king, that guy that not really, well, I guess you could supposedly say he invented that Roach max out way back in the day, and then ever since then he's just been macro king when it comes to it. So PtitDrogo's at the front, having a little bit of a look around. He sees the creep at the natural, so beyond all of that, he's going to know that this hatchery was before the pool, and he shouldn't be too worried about links for now.
No, he definitely shouldn't. And seeing the drone move out at that specific time, it's like, okay, he's taking a third. And one thing that I also love about this league is people can prepare for each other, you know?
Yeah.
And seeing that everything's going how you predicted it as Drogo, because he had that probe there waiting for that drone to see when it was going to take the third. We're going to see what Drogo actually has in store for us. So he is getting that Twilight Council. The Adept's going to just move over and confirm what's going on. It does look like it probably is going to be, well, it could be a DT follow-up or an Adept follow-up, as you pointed out in the pre-talk. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, the Adept, even the single Adept moving forwards, not only to just threaten, is kind of important to even just see the third, because the probe didn't really, I don't think it quite saw the glimpse of the drone moving over to that third base, right? So you want to make sure that that is confirmed, so no weird, crazy two-base thing is going on, but as Stephano's name precedes him, it's not very common to see him being all full gun-ho off the back of two hatcheries. So he's just confirming and then poking around at the front.
This is very important for Stephano, getting a glimpse of what he's actually up against, because I know back in the old times, you'd scout this and it'd be like, okay, what upgrade is actually coming out of this Twilight Council here? But very, very rarely is it anything but the Adept Glaive. So seeing this, the 3 gateways extra, this is like one of the most standard PvZ builds out there.
Imagine that. We've got the Adept Glaives on the way. I'm very happy that Drogo is like, oh yeah, you know, Kyle Harris, he's feeling rusty. I'll throw him a bone here. I'll actually go Adepts. Thanks.
I mean, it's such a cool build, right? Like,
yeah, it's good.
Because it's one of those things where, even though it's 4 gateways, like, it's definitely a committal. If you see your opponent underreact to it, you can kill them. If they overreact to it, you can just take a third and be pretty okay. And it's really awesome that you can change the speed at which it arrives or at which it keeps on going based on chrono boosting gateways and just piling pedal to the metal kind of thing.
And a lot of lings being produced at the moment with the Adepts already warping in at the front. You can see it with this Overlord, as well as the lings that held onto that Watchtower for a second as well. But the Roach Warren as well as Spines are on the way. This is actually hitting pretty early here and could do quite a bit of damage.
A lot of Protosses like to get on that ramp there and just kind of have limited surface area. And Drogo's definitely warping in like a lot with this. He's not taken a third yet. There are a few lings to stop a third if it does go down over there, but Stephano so far hasn't taken any damage. Nice drone drilling by him. Does take a few hits here, but this is a nice position for Drogo.
Yeah, very nice indeed. He's going to choke up a lot of these lings. They really can't get good surface area on those depths. Now, important that there's gas going down behind this as well, so they actually will shade into that main base. Actually, the lings are on top of them straight away. This is great surface area for Stephano to try and shoo this off. But importantly, behind this, Drogo had gases going down, and his pro-production has been going while this is happening. But losing all of those depths for, what, 3 drones and the lings? I don't know if it's enough, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, like, if we just look at the numbers right now, and it's like, okay, he killed 6 drones. That's obviously not a huge number. He did do some damage at the third base as well, by the way. Like, so he was multitasking as well there. But it's about the indirect damage. Like, that was a lot of units made by Stephano that weren't drones. So you see he's trying to catch up now, but 38 drones currently against 48 probes. He's definitely done indirect damage with this.
That's fair. Actually, that is a very, very good point. I'm forgetting my lava management. Trying to get in here with the Adepts as well for a little bit of extra damage here is PtitDrogo, and we'll pick those up and get on out of there. But Leia's only just morphing in right now.
Yeah, and again, that's part of the indirect damage, right?
Yeah.
We have to look at what's happened on the other side of the map too. So those lings that he planted at the third of Drogo, they did actually delay that Nexus for a lot longer than Drogo wanted, because if we look at his natural, he is quite a bit oversaturated here, and he's still producing probes because he has to. Definitely a bit of a gnarly position for his macro, so they're both feeling hits without really knowing it.
And more drones on the way for Stephano now, as you mentioned, to try and catch up here. Thankfully for Drogo, he's got plenty of probes out. So once that third is up and running, he's going to be able to transfer over there and have an extremely powerful economy off the back of this. Zealot charge going down. Immortals on the way after seeing that the heightened roach count is beginning to accrue here for Stephano. And for Stephano, with range on the way, we've seen him going for things like, you know, these big roach ravager numbers and stuff like that, but with an initial crippled economy in comparison to his opponents, that's going to lose a little bit of its wind, I feel, Ben.
Yeah, certainly. Like, Stephano is going for a 4th base now. They're both getting upgrades about the same time. The one thing that's a big indicator for me of what Drogo's planning is the fact that he's warping in a few sentries now. They're going to build up energy over time, but he's getting that Templar archives, and he already had his big gateway burst, which usually signifies he isn't going to be planning on a 4th anytime soon, but it's going to be that big, big, big pressure that he also loves. So yeah, both the things that we talked about. He likes Adepts, he likes big charge like Archon attacks. He's doing it.
Yeah, and it can get scary, as you say, with those sentries. I mean, of course, Ravagers with their corrosive ball can technically break those down, but it takes a little bit of time, right? And by the time you have actually got roaches trapped on the other side and shot down by the Immortals, all units on the other side of the force fields are dead, and then you can't really do much. So this is a very, very strong little push that PtitDrogo's moving out with. Of course, Fire will try and cordon that off when the Adepts goes down from it. But some focus fire here, as the Zealots don't have their legs just yet, but if more warp in for this, it could be very potent.
Yeah, I like what they're both doing to one another. Like, Stephano's trying to buy time as much as he can. It was decent transfusions, but I mean, there was quite a bit of firepower there to take it down. One thing I'm scared for him, he is getting a little bit supply blocked. Okay, the hatchery did just finish, so never mind me. But Drogo, with this, he was trying to keep his opponent very honest. Yeah. I think he was playing to his image a lot too, because his pro count's actually really darn good in comparison to Stephano. Like, he's... Oh no, that is a big blunder though.
Would you say as well, Ben, whilst we look at that push, obviously that 4th location that Stephano took his base on, I guess that it's quite open, right? So using force fields in this area is a lot more difficult than, say, using over towards the 3rd, for example. Yeah, for sure. Like, this is a lot more open. You can wrap around from many angles, like having lings down to the bottom of the map and through the middle as well. You definitely want to secure this base that Stephano's taken, not only for that reason that it's very open, but also the rich Vespane gas. Oh yeah, very, very nice indeed. That's going to fuel the late game if Stephano can get there. Although that being said, PtitDrogo is doing very well for himself on the other sides. Stephano's up in workers right now with the hive on the way off the back of this. But again, it's going to be whether or not we see any kind of little pokes coming out from Drogo to try and continuously cripple that economy. Maybe Zealots on the wraparound.
Stephano is doing something that hasn't been super popular for a little bit of time, given that Zergs have been so committed to just making lots and lots of Banelings. It's going for Lurkers and Dropper Lords here. Like, this is very old school Nurtio-esque style, but I love to see it. Oh my gosh, okay, that was close, that was cool.
That was very close. Now, one thing that's important is that actually PtitDrogo in the past has been a little bit susceptible to Overlord drops. We've seen Cyril in the War Chest Team League actually use it to great effect against PtitDrogo. However, it's not quite as massive a move here. He's just trying to look for harassment potential with this. It could be scary in towards the natural on main.
So what are actually in these Overlords? It's Roaches for now.
Yeah.
Where are they going to be plonked? It looks like it's... Okay, going for the natural here. I was like, is he going for, like, a wall off there to stop the retreat of his opponent? But this is already going to start taxing Drogo's multitasking and taking damage against a Zerg that's also teching up to Lurkers, which I don't think Drogo's army is super damn decent against right now.
I think he was hoping to try and draw some of this away from this fourth location, but it's not to be the case. Although that being said, they're still getting themselves some workers. 8 have already gone down, going into the main, warping in some Stalkers to try and deal with this. Zealots are on the way to actually shut that down too, though, as a lot of Hydralisks are in production here behind this. So actually, Stephano's getting quite a bit done with this, Ben.
Yeah, he definitely is. Like, this doesn't really cost you much.
Yeah.
And Stephano, I don't think he really thought it was going to go this decently, but we do see a lot of Lurkers in production, and they are so damn scary against Protoss. And also, he's droning up. He's getting static defense. He's getting upgrades. Like, he's in a really decent position here.
Yeah, definitely so. All the upgrades coming in for the Lurkers as well here. Even double expansions on the side here for Stephano, and getting that creep going through into the middle of the map as well. So he's slowly feeling more comfortable against this. Although PtitDrogo does have a ton of energy on his High Templars. So if any fight is to go down against this, it could be a bit scary. Just make sure you're not clumped up against the amount of Lurkers that may be in play.
It's very unusual for me to see a Protoss, especially one like Drogo, is so willing to be like, yeah, I'm going to go late game with you. Oh my gosh, what are these Lurkers? Okay, they were rather ballsy there, just running headfirst into the Protoss.
A little bit. Storm goes down, forcing them back. However, actually retreating to a lot more Lurkers, so it's going to be difficult to break that just yet. And I think he was trying to set up something, and it kind of forced a little bit of a headbutt. Like, we're seeing some of these Zergs now just positioning them to slow down the advancement of a Protoss, right? And it's very, very annoying to actually deal with. Warp Prism goes down as well. And there's actually another fight over on towards that natural base here. Stephano's everywhere.
Yeah, he also had a drop at the 12 o'clock position of Drogo that took out 8 probes. And look at Stephano's bank behind all this. Great storms on those Lurkers, but Drogo's under a lot of fire. And oh, nice little wraparound there by Drogo.
Yeah, very nice. Shutting that down, very important to do. And some of these Lurkers are going to sit back and what I effectively assume will be that slow down mechanic again. Because when you've got 8 High Templars, when storms are landing well as well, it's going to be difficult for him to take this army head on. He's got to slow it down for these double spires to kick in and then be able to transition on to the next move.
A lot of the things that Stephano's doing are so annoying. Like, he's putting down lots of static defense. He's making lots of drones, lots of Lurkers. Like, this is totally textbook him. Playing the defender's role, but also being very aggressive, very harassing. And he's doing it really well, honestly.
Yeah, not too bad. We'll try and push up against here. But every single time anything is encroaching onto that creep, he's just saying, no, get back. And a little bit of a burrow. Just shutting down some of the Zealots that are up at this spot. It's difficult to push up this ramp as the Protoss, even if it's just 1 or 2. But PtitDrogo is trying to keep him occupied on both fronts here, fighting 2 fights at the same time. And it can be taxing.
It certainly can, and we see that he's just kind of dancing in these Lurker shots here, which is not a trade you want to be taking. Drogo, the Adaptive Talons is now active, by the way, meaning that Lurkers not only burrow faster and unburrow faster, they also move a lot quicker too.
Here's the interesting thing, though, about those storms that are going down is that he's keeping a lot of queens with these Lurkers, and he's actually healing them as they're taking storm damage. So they're really not taking that much damage during all of this. Yes, he's expending some queen energy whilst it's going down, but he's holding these armies back whilst getting himself set up at home. Oh, this is a lot of units, though.
That is a lot of units. It was nice snipes on the High Templar by Stephano. That was a nice attempted wraparound by Drogo, trying to take on these lurkers from multiple angles. That's kind of their weakness. But Stephano was too quick, and the Adaptive Talons upgrade helped keep them alive too. So much firepower in this Zerg army.
Yeah, pushing this back and also up to the north as well. He's actually going to try and hit the fourth base once again. A PtitDrogo with just a few units. However, I don't think it's going to be that successful. 4 queens fighting an Archon. That's an interesting fight. Whilst, even seizing this position. This is brilliant by Stephano, getting on top of this. Cybernetics core goes down. A few pylons go down. Mothership is on the way here. But this position is going to be advantageous for Stephano. Any trade that comes in here for Protoss is going to be a losing one.
It certainly is. I mean, coming in from that left angle definitely makes things a lot better for Drogo, but the damage is being done, I feel. Oh, okay, if he takes the top of this round, that could definitely be gnarly. There aren't really enough lurkers to make it super bad for Drogo, but Drogo, these shots, that is just 2 lurkers. How many units are they killing right now? That was really bad trade for Drogo.
Yeah, that was, and this is the power of doing the multiple attacks in each location. Stephano was constantly looking for that opportunity to jump into a disadvantageous spot for PtitDrogo, and he found it eventually. Now, yes, you may say, but he killed off his entire army for the most part up towards the front. But the remax or the units that Stephano is accruing behind all of this are going to be powerful after that kind of trade.
Yeah, and look how much creep is on the map as well. Like, such a veil of safety for Stephano. He's got this massive gas bank that you can just throw into lurkers very, very easily. And also, he hasn't been using Lings that much, but they are darn strong.
That pylon was powering everything on that left-hand side, so those Lings are going to continue to run on by here. No. Oh, no, cloak them. Go back. Wait, is there an overseer above? There is. Oh, that's unfortunate.
That is darn unfortunate. One of the most, some streamers like to call it a useless unit, the minus 400, but, it just wasn't doing its job there at all. Okay, yeah. Drogo does have a nice little stocky group, but holy crap, that is a lot of lurkers.
A lot indeed, and those storms are even going to be slowing them down here. Stephano is moving in for this army. He's going to have to recall out of there. Those Immortals, unfortunately, not really living up to their name.
They, the rate at which these lurkers... Oh my gosh, okay, he's going to start doing drops as well. This is going to get really damn difficult for Drogo to deal with, being many places at once. Like, it's already been a very difficult game, but those lurkers burrow and burrow so darn fast. It's very hard to get the surprise on them.
Yeah, very much so. And now, once again, stringing him left, right, and center, and actually taking down some of these High Templars, morphing one into an Archon to try and save it here for just a moment against these Lings, and the Zealots will eventually clean it up. But again, this costs him High Templars, this costs him Storms that he would really like to have for the potential fights that are upcoming, and even getting onto this mineral line once again. 12 workers going down here. Very, very difficult now for PtitDrogo as he is being strung everywhere, Ben.
Yeah, and that was a sneaky lurker as well, moving up to the high ground there to try and shoot the probes there at the 3rd base. And the thing is, Stephano, this hasn't been like a super one-track mind. He's also like 13 drones on the way when he's already at 83. He's taken the bottom right section of the map. He's taken the 9 o'clock as well. He's doing very, very good stuff.
There's 5 observers on the map right now, so he's having to string those everywhere as well to try and deal with these lurkers. 2 with the mothership and the main army, so that's very important. If those goes down later on, it would be quite annoying, but there's not really much anti-air. There's a few Hydralisks in here, but beyond that, it's all about the lurkers, really, that are going to be causing the big damage against this PtitDrogo.
That Protoss army is actually really big. It's bigger than Stephano's army. It's just about how much they're both really mining. Okay, Drogo's the one that's kind of splitting his army up now, trying to attack 2 places at once. Corruptors came out all of a sudden as well, doing corrosive... what's it called? Corrosive spray on this building. He's going to actually take it down. Caustic spray even.
Caustic, yeah. And it will take down the Nexus. It's not the most valuable of Nexi because there's not really that much minerals left there remaining, but any little extra damage that Stephano can do could be great here. PtitDrogo is feeling antsy, feeling as if he has to get something done with this army in the middle, but once again, it is difficult to even breach onto Zerg territory right now due to the fact that the creep is so extended, more Corruptors are being added on, Vipers as well, to try and get the drag on that mothership.
Yeah, this is very problematic. This is a bit of a nice grab on these lurkers, but they're so quick, man. Like, it feels like Drogo needs something to grab them or kind of keep them like some sentries to just stop them from running away.
Yeah. The scary thing is, at the moment, is Stephano's bank is building. And with the amount of corruptors that he's going to have here, the mothership is going to insta-die whenever a grab actually does come on in. But still dancing on around here, looking for a bit of extra damage. Finds this army and needs to move away. Oof.
And also that double spire, like he's got 3-3 on the way for his air as well.
Yeah.
Oh, Drogo pouncing on this group of lurkers.
Time Warp Cash is going to pull in the mothership here, try and bring that down, and then when that is done, look how much AoE damage those lurkers did to that Protoss army. The recall has to happen, but with that army going down, it is sunk. He charged into these lurkers to try and take the best fight he could, but it was still not enough to bring it down fully without taking irreparable damage himself.
No, and Stephano, he's winning the war of attrition, isn't he? And even though Stephano did lose a lot, like his supply is a bit deceiving here, he just remaxed absolutely instantly on Hydras, Lings, just everything he needs.
And we'll be able to push this back as well. The lurkers, any extra lurkers he's going to add on here are going to be extremely impactful. There is a base up to the top left hand going up here for PtitDrogo, but holding on to that is going to be very, very difficult. And Stephano will start going for the jugular pretty soon, I feel.
Yeah, all Willy. Like I feel it's absolutely the right move, but Stephano, he's just solidifying a good position. Like this work account, he's been in the 80s, 90s for a good length of time, whereas Drogo's been struggling to get over 60.
Yeah, we'll sit back for now. Spots this base up to the top left with the overlords as well, so he knows that his opponent is going to be in a relatively rough spot considering all the trades that have gone down thus far. I guess, to your point, or you were making before, or Willy, he can just defend him to death, right? He can just have that maxed out army, force PtitDrogo to run into him again, and just keep harassing with these lings wherever he needs to be.
Yeah, I don't even think it's super. Well, I think he can absolutely, you're right, kill his opponent, but
Sure.
whether he wants to, like it's the first game of the series. And Drogo, he is the kind of guy, like we've known him smash a table or two in his time. And maybe losing a game where you feel absolutely hopeless, but I think this is it. Stephano moving in here.
He spent all the rest of his storms as well, and that is going to be it for the big AoE damage. That's GG. Stephano takes the first game in this series after confidently holding off anything that PtitDrogo was throwing his way.
Yeah, like we like to watch Stephano, and you predicted Stephano to win. After that game, he looked exceedingly confident and really damn good. Granted, Eternal Empire is one of the nicest maps for defending and getting your bases set up and stuff, but he looked damn good doing it.
Stephano says to me, "What the hell are you doing here?"
In a whisper?
Yes.
You know,
I predicted you to win, so win. There we go.
I do wish that a lot of players are actually very, their character really shines through, and you don't often get to see it, but Stephano's one of those guys that's always lovely. He's always very true to who he is, always.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Do you know the first thing that Stephano ever said to me when I met him?
No.
It was in a bar after, I think, Asus ROG 2012 or something like that. The first thing he ever said to me was, in a drunk stupor, "Tie my shoelace." I was like, I've never met you. What the? Unbelievable.
Yeah, that he's one of those people as well. Like, if you grow up in esports and you get like a lot of wealth, a lot of fans, a lot of, I feel that Stephano realized that his boundary with people is probably a lot further. Like, people
There is
give him
no
a lot
line
more.
then.
Yeah, there is no leeway with him. There is no boundary. Like, he realized that very early on, and it was, esports, man, got to this young man's head straight away.
Yeah, I mean, there's that famous picture of him in his sunglasses being taken out of that bar. Was it a bar? I can't even remember. I wasn't there.
It was like the DreamHack Lounge.
Yeah. What a great picture. That's when you knew StarCraft was really Rockstar back then.
I think that as well was like, he just joined EG, and it was initially it was like, oh my gosh, this isn't good publicity, but then it was like, okay, we've got the Rockstar of StarCraft 2 over here, so it was actually okay. It was that no pub or any publicity is good publicity kind of thing.
In that situation, absolutely. And so far, he is one game up in this series here, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be going on to Death Aura. Surprise, surprise. Pretty common nowadays here against PtitDrogo. For me, Ben, what do you think PtitDrogo needs to do? I feel like he needs to try and find the kill earlier, because Stephano in the late game for me is just powerful, and that's why I predicted him.
Yeah, I do think that Drogo's always been good at these charge lot zealot kind of attacks, and I know that when there are a lot of barcode Protosses on the ladder, people tend to know it's him based on it's just extra zealots and archons than any other Protoss, but we'll see. Speaking of the man, spawning over in the top left-hand side, playing as the blue Protoss, it is PtitDrogo.
And down to the bottom right. Oh, I've missed my cue. It is Stephano. Yeah, rusty, all right?
It was perfect, mate. It was perfect, you know? By the way, it's cool having a map that is, what's the word? Accepted by the pros, that has things like speed boosts and stuff on it.
Yeah, I've enjoyed the addition of these. There was the slow zones, now there's the speed zones being added as well. Personally, I mean, okay, so since branching out from StarCraft, there's a lot of esports, right? And some of the most entertaining things to watch are not necessarily what the pros want at all. I think you can testify to that.
Yep. But yeah, that's what I mean. Like, this has been so kind of well accepted. Like, this isn't one of the, oh my god, I'm going to veto that's got speed bubula things in it. It's like, no, that's actually one of the cool maps. And it's not as if you have to utilize them. You can utilize them. It's, you know, I've seen sometimes where banelings absolutely fly at the opponent, and it's really, really funny. But I think the map creators in general have been really cool recently. Like, Golden Wall has made for some absolutely monumental games, and it is weird. Like, it's a weird map.
Ben, I have a question.
Let's go.
I've switched the observing tool to the WCS one, but I've forgotten, because it's been so long since I've observed a game, I've forgotten how to get onto our observer's camera. You know, how you lock on? Press 3.
And then C.
It worked. Yes.
I got you, Kalaris. Don't you worry.
Because currently on my screen, I was pressing all the buttons. Currently it's 5-0 to PtitDrogo. But it's not.
Sometimes you can get following somebody that as well that you really shouldn't be following, like you know, a Funker, and he's off looking at like the scenery around the map. And oh yeah, I didn't know about this little umbrella here on this beach randomly on the side of the map.
There was some good little Easter eggs added to games in the past, I must admit.
Yes, there was. Oh, okay. So we wanted something maybe a little bit different from Drogo. Not necessarily something that he's, you know, super known for, but Stargate opening here on Death Aura. And that can be like a number of things. We've seen double Stargate be fairly, you know, not used a super amount. I know Drogo is a particular fan of Oracle play in general.
Yeah, I've liked an Oracle or 2 Oracles, and then maybe some Phoenix follow-up behind it as well to try and help out. You know, say, for example, even if Queen numbers get a little bit more cheeky, then like picking some up and dealing with those if you're having a hard time with the Oracle. But personally, I want to see Void Rays. I know. Like, everyone wants to see Void Rays right now. I know some people are experimenting with them, and it's not done so well. Some people have done stuff with them that's good. But what, do you like the new Void Ray? I love the new Void Ray personally.
You know, James, I can say that the only time the Void Ray has been used against me is the really, really cheesy, horrible one-base kind right outside my base. And yeah, I'm not a big fan of that happening to me, you know?
That's fair. That is fair. I did watch a little bit of that lately with the shield batteries and everything, right?
Absolutely.
That's fun. I like watching that. I like watching you suffer.
That is not nice. I am always a fan of you prospering, James, and such. Okay, so this Oracle did come to like a kind of naked mirror line, but Stephano with some fancy drone saving. Oh, on the next drone as well.
I like that. Now he's going to have to move away. Oh, he's not moving away. Ooh, okay, we're good. Crisis averted.
James, you wanted it. You got it.
Perfect. It might just be to kill overlords to start things off, but that's fine by me. Actually, there's no overlords on his side of the map. Oh.
Yeah, it's Stephano's just got them kind of like set up just outside his third base and kind of forward at his natural. Absolutely playing the defender's role here. And I guess he did get to scout exactly what he was up against because it arrived at his front door.
Link's just sharking on about, having a look at that third base. Won't be able to get much done, but that's fine. Layer on the way behind this as well as Roach Warren. No surprises there.
You know, so like a Phoenix is 150 minerals. The Void Ray is now 200 minerals. It is far more efficient Overlord cleaner-upper, given that it deals way more damage to armored units and such, and also can be potentially useful against, like, you know, these Roach Ravager pushers early on and stuff. So kind of a nice addition, I suppose.
Yeah, the shutdown potential for aggressive maneuvers can be very nice, as you're mentioning. And these Overlords are looking for a little bit more, but there are Queens as well as a Spore Crawler in there. Extra Spore Crawlers, in fact, going down in that natural mineral line. I mean, he sees 2 Oracles and a Void Ray. You want to be a little bit safe against everything that's going on, but good micro with those Oracles will pick him up a few cheeky drones.
Certainly will. This Void Ray as well. I didn't even think about it, but like, if a 4th base was to go down by Stephano, which it is, if that Void Ray was in a position close to it and just quickly prismatically aligned kind of thing, could definitely kind of take it down a little bit too. But Stephano knew it was over on the left side. The Queens were positioned to defend it. This Overlord or Overseer in the middle too gets to keep its eyes on it. So probably will be able to get that down. But I like that Drogo's making the game difficult for Stephano here.
Yeah, and I think actually Stephano has been susceptible to that kind of Void Ray initiating on a 4th base per se, even through this tournament so far when I've seen him go up against some Protoss. Eventually you get the 4th up, but just those little extra knock-on effects, those little delays that you can get out from a Void Ray would be nice. And that's why we're seeing this positioning of the Queens. He knows what's up. He's seen it before.
But yeah, if we kind of compare this game to the first one between these two, Stephano hasn't been able to go uncontested early on. Like, Drogo did more damage with way less losses.
Yeah.
We can definitely say this is a better start for Drogo this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Oracles are still alive and still being annoying, and it's going to force potentially extra anti-air at some of these locations. Even more drones. Oh, my. Oh,
holy crap. They're like...
worth it.
Yeah. Okay, so one Oracle has died, but those 2 together killed 17 drones.
That's
like,
amazing.
and that was really nicely microed by Drogo, because he had to be very specific about taking them down one by one. Even this Void Ray doing very well at cleaning stuff up. Drogo's a different man this game, it seems.
Yeah, absolutely. The adepts in the previous game, as much as I wanted to see it, you know, were not the answer to what he was encountering. And now this has been certainly very successful. We're seeing the Hive on the way as well as that Lurker Den. So Stephano wants to go down the same path that he was in prior, but for PtitDrogo, he's like 1 or 2 steps ahead extra compared to the previous game, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure he's going to give him the same kind of time that he gave in the previous game. Like a Protoss being ahead in supply when the Zerg is committed to quite a few Roaches. It's definitely not the kind of spot that a Zerg wants to be. And I do like the fact that Stephano's still keeping up with his plan. You know, he's getting the Hive, getting the Lurker Den. It's all in sync. But this, I feel, is going to be a bust that he's going to struggle to hold against Drogo.
How many units does he have? We got 5 Hydras, 15 Roaches, 8 Hydras, with a few more on the way right now. But this is a lot of AoE damage he's going to have available to him, as you're mentioning here. So PtitDrogo breaking down these rocks is going to open up that extra little attack path that's going to make this quicker as a transition over. Where's his Warp Prism? Is it on the right-hand side? Where?
It looks like it's going for the main base, which is also gnarly. But Stephano is decently prepared for this. He does know the player that he's up against. And Stephano, even though I thought he was in a problematic spot, the fact that Drogo spent quite a lot of time killing those rocks, and it was a lot of High Templars, right? Wasn't the biggest damage dealing, so definitely slowed down this push quite a bit.
I wouldn't have even minded 2 Warp Prisms during this if he wanted to push at the front as quickly as possible, but now everything is kind of rendezvousing with one another. You see the High Templars on that right-hand side warping in to try and push on along with this as well. He's warping those into Archons here, wanting to go for the push now, but he sees the Lurkers on the high ground. He's got to be a little bit careful about that, despite them being revelated.
This defense so far by Stephano, those Lurkers came in just in the nick of time.
Yeah.
But this is a lot of Protoss, and Drogo, you know, he's got a very one-track mind. He just wants to kill his opponent right here, right now.
Archon and a few Zealots force those Lurkers up to the top to actually burrow whilst not being able to get down to this main army down on the left-hand side as it strikes at this 3rd base. Big storms going down on this army as well. And this is a ransacking here. PtitDrogo is dominating this fight and dominating these drone lines.
Yeah, Stephano was not at all prepped for this. I mean, he's made a lot of drones. He's using his entire bank, but look at this from Drogo. This is a real strong army that he's got remaining. Now it's reinforced by more High Templars with plenty of storms available. That Void Ray is still alive as well. What a hero.
GG, that is 1-1. PtitDrogo will tie things up on Death Aura after a very well executed game at number 2 here. Now that goes on to game number 3. We're going to go to a short break, ladies and gentlemen, and when we return, we can talk more about this as well as game number 3. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here as we are in the midst of our first series for the day. PtitDrogo and Stephano going up against one another. Currently 1-1. We're going to be going on to Evandream for our game number 3. Damn. Oh, it feels good to be back, Ben. It feels good to be back.
I like your excitement, James. You're like a giddy schoolboy, you know, getting to cast the old boy again, this old dog. But yeah, I mean, it's very fun. Like some of the matchups recently, I know ZVP has been a little bit difficult for Protosses, but it's nice to see Drogo just showing time and time again that what he does works, and it works really damn well when he gets it going. But I like that we both predicted 2-1 either way.
Oh.
So, you know, like, one of us is going to be right, James. One of us is going to be right. And it's going to be, I'm looking forward to see how this culminates here.
You're right. I am going to be right. Thank you very much, Ben. Let's get into the game. As we have spawning down to the bottom left-hand corner, it is, of course, Stephano in the red.
And spawning over in the top right-hand side. As the blue Protoss, it is PtitDrogo.
Who might win the series, let's be fair. Especially if he's learnt lessons from, you know, kind of the 2 games that have culminated so far to now bring us into this 3rd game. I mean, the Oracle opening for him was on point. His control was extremely potent in the previous game.
It certainly was. And already this game, we see something a little bit different from Drogo. So in the previous 2 games, he barely scouted at all. Whereas this game, he's like, okay, I'm going to actually go for a pretty darn fast hatch block. And Stephano, he's been kind of doing this the same regardless. He just sends down a drone at a particular time. If he sees the probe, he just keeps on going over to the 3rd, which he did. So both of them obviously showcasing that they know what they're doing. And Stephano showing that when he's played against this in the past, his response, it's not even to think. This is all reaction at this point.
Yeah, I'm always scared for Zergs that are in this situation, but it's kind of a 50-50. There's knock-on effects from having your 3rd down in that position. Of course, yes, technically the rush distance is a little shorter for the Protoss, but at the same time, if you kind of forgo the aggression from a Protoss and then get your creep going from that position, you actually have a little bit of a boost when it comes to your creep spread, if you're good at it like Stephano is. So if he survives the tide that may come along his way from Drogo, then he might be in an all right spot.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like that creep will be more extended towards the north of the map. I guess the problem arises where it's like, okay, I need to get creep tumors going from 2 directions, so it's spread south as well, and it's like, which one do I choose? Does he do an adept attack where he goes for my main and my natural as opposed to like my 3rd? So it always just makes the Zerg life a little bit more tricky if you go for that block. But behind this, Drogo, like there's not much different a Protoss can do at this point. Like he's getting the Adepts out. He'll probably get a Stalker as well to deny the Overlord's scouting. But I'm interested to see what he go, okay, Twilight Council.
And that's definitely an annoying thing as well for a Zerg, right? Like, once this Adept ends up getting over there, you can only really have 1 queen to defend per location as opposed to having them coupled together to make it a little bit easier a defense, because they're just not going to be able to walk over quickly enough. And that's why, of course, we're seeing heightened moves to get that creep going as fast as possible, not only towards the north, but also down in towards his natural too.
Certainly. Also, when thinking about, okay, you're watching this queen on its little march, waddling along.
Takes a little while.
Beautiful little fella. Okay, so 1 drone fell there while we were watching that queen to the Adept, so nice little pick off by Drogo. Also, you can't cancel creep tumors anymore.
Yeah.
So already this is a decent start by Drogo.
Not too bad. Double queen versus double adept for now. We'll push this away a second, but sending in the shades to have a little bit of look around. Okay, so a glaive's on the way as well here, and comparing it to the first game where we saw glaives into the adepts and then the attacks, maybe because this 3rd is in the position that it is, maybe this is going to be a little bit more successful relative to our first game.
Definitely could be. I have seen a pretty common theme or trend in Protoss play when they do kind of force the natural to be at the 3rd instead. They tend to like the Adepts. But losing 2 Adepts straight away is kind of annoying because you need every Adept counts, right? And seeing more Adepts being warped in here for Stephano, that's the 3rd and 4th Adept that he's seen. I'm thinking that he's probably going to be fairly clued into what's happening here. Oh, and I mean, that's the dead giveaway right there with the warp.
Yeah. A lot of Lings in production now, as well as that Roach Horn going down here to eventually complement this. As long as the bases are linked up now with creep tumors, there's more queens that are going to be able to rally to that defense. But this is hitting pretty quickly. As we mentioned, that kind of the rush distance is a little bit shorter here towards this 3rd base, but there are the queens to try and greet it.
Yeah, and right now it's a lot about positioning here. So Stephano really wants to have his queens take the damage. He wants to kill the Warp Prism if everything can go perfectly. Whereas Drogo, he doesn't want to be fighting these queens. He wants to be fighting anything but. But if you can get any economic damage done, you're in a good position. So these Lings getting a decent wraparound, but they march away because they were dealing a lot of damage to those Lings.
And also anticipating the shade coming in as well here, full wraparound. But again, the surface area is not that great here just yet. He's trying to buy time for those roaches to get up and running. 7 in production right now, as well as the Lings going to be coming down. The drones are actually off the line trying to escape the position. Actually going to go back to this. This is a lot of damage done.
Yeah, that was like Drogo's doing this phenomenally well. He's also killing the third, as we see here. Shades are absolutely everywhere. He's in the natural now. This is way too much damage. Stephano really messed up by trying to drone back to the natural there, and the Adepts just controlled the ramp.
Huge damage. Even getting the Spore Crawler of all things, so any kind of extra follow-ups, be the airborne or even the stealth, could be quite annoying. It's every little extra thing that he would have to add on from this, but it's already a lot of drones going down. Once again, doubling the worker count is going to mean that PtitDrogo is going to be flying in this game here. Very well done by him.
Yeah, and it's not stopping. It's not stopping at all. He's also teching up. He's getting the Mortals, getting the Forge down, so going to resort to that push afterwards, most likely.
Yeah.
He's also, does he have a third? Yeah, okay, he just started his third, so his probe is waiting, and as you quite rightly point out, look at that worker count, 49 to 29. Oh, what a position to be in.
I'm not feeling great about my prediction anymore, Ben. I was feeling so good prior, but, you know.
You were cocky. You were cocky. Like, even at the start of this game, you're like, I'm going to win. I'm going to win. And it's like, oh.
Ben, it's 2020. I'm a host. I'm cocky through the roof, mate. That's what we do now. But no, it's going to be difficult for Stephano to recover from this for sure.
Oh, yeah. Like, Drogo's done a really good job this game. Like, that drone drill from the main to the natural where it was like, well, he didn't actually shade into that main yet. Like, Stephano was predicting Drogo to do something. Didn't happen. Drogo just stood there and... these Adepts, when they get on those drones, when they get on those lings, even the wraparound of the lings on the ramp of Stephano's, like, it didn't do what he wanted it to do.
The one saving grace I see for Stephano is the fact that I feel like the third for Drogo is a little bit later than our first game, but there is so much damage that has been incurred, and it continues to be incurred. So I don't exactly know how Stephano comes back from this position. It is going to be super brutal.
It certainly is. Like, he's doing a lot of the right stuff here, getting his drone count back up and rolling. But the thing is, that Overlord that's now dying above the natural of Drogo, he saw everything that was going on. And he sees the army that's like, you know, it's fewer mortals. It's an Archon. It's already enough to absolutely blitz Stephano. And that's such a sad spot to be in as a Zerg, because he wants to be as greedy as possible. And Drogo, nice scout here with the double hallucination. That's probably going to signal him to get a move on here across the map.
Yeah, I mean, you think you're going to get that Rich Vespine guy as a base? I don't think so after seeing what we just saw. Eventually, once a few more extra gateway units warp in, along with this extra Immortal that's going to pop on, I mean, yes, he's getting Zealot legs, but I don't think he even really needs that at this point to be able to crush down on this position an army. No,
I agree with you. I mean, we obviously know more than Drogo does because we see all the numbers, but Drogo, he did see that those bases, the natural and the third, were kind of lightly droned up, lightly saturated. So it kind of, you know, if you run into a Zerg that just made battle units, oh, he loses his Warp Prism. Ooh. That was a bit of a blunder.
So units are going to have to reinforce from all the way back at a pylon, but at the same time, Cat forces the cancellation on this. Any fight that goes down, he has a lot of energy to be able to throw down some force fields if needs be. So could catch some units, but without the Warp Prism, he might not feel as confident about pushing in here, Ben.
No, and I think he's playing really smartly, actually. He sees a lot of battle units being made, and again, he's going off that info that the natural and the third weren't well saturated, and can be way over-eager against this. And look at the work count, Kalaris. Like,
exactly. And that's a great point that you make. He sees all the battle units being made, right? And as a Protoss, sometimes you can win the fight just by moving out, forcing those units to be made, and then moving back. Not even taking a fight, just forcing lava to be spent rather than on drones, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I do like the fact that Stephano didn't just go greedy and then die, because he stayed in the game way longer. And he any choice that he made was potentially a bad one, which is just to showcase how good a position Drogo was in. But Drogo, I love the fact that he's patient this game, because very often he has one gear and that's go. He goes full Charlie Sheen on it, you know. But here he showed that he can play a very, very different sort of game, and he can sit back and be comfortable with the lead that he has.
Well, he will be winning very soon if he's continuing this on, and we'll push this Warp Prism back once again. But we do see the army moving up to the top, as well as some Zealots looking for a little bit of a wraparound, maybe to get onto a mineral line. So any drones that he gets with these Zealots is a win in my book. With the fourth base going up for him as well, it gets caught off, though. That's fine.
That is the luckiest Ravager. All the Zealots were hugging him, and he's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose it. And then they just kind of decide to run away.
He's okay.
Swarm Host, the weapon of choice of Stephano here. So not going into the Hydra and Lurker play. I mean, I feel that this is desperation at this point.
Absolutely.
But he has to resort to some craziness. So again, it's about being well, he has so many wrong choices to make. Like, they all feel like the wrong one. But we'll see how this works out for him, because anything he does at this point, he's on the back foot.
Yeah, the previous transitions that he's utilized in this series weren't going to work, even despite the supply being quite even at the moment. If he'd have gone Hydras into Lurkers very quickly here, well, surprise, surprise, there's a ton of Storms that could easily just rain down on that and kill them off quickly without the amount of healing that he would have out of Queens or any backup units. Cross Bile, though, catching a few of these.
I was a bit worried there for a second. I gasped even. Those High Templars were marching right at it. And so Drogo now sees that he's against Swarm Host. And he's like, well, what is this? 2015 all over again kind of thing? But so far, he's got so many Storms and so much splash in general.
This Locust not even buying enough time. Now there's going to be a window where these Locusts don't even exist in the game, and those Swarm Hosts are dead weight as Protoss is now pushing into this position. He knows that this window is open right now because the Swarm Hosts are useless. So go in here, get this base, back up if you want, and then you're going to be in a winning spot.
There's just so much firepower in this army of Drogo. Like, the Immortals alone can take out hatcheries left, right, and center. The Storms, he's got them for days. Even marching into Biles. He don't give a damn at this point.
It takes 2 bases in the Swarm Host window. That is big stuff here for PtitDrogo. Yes, technically down in supply, but realistically speaking, Stephano has to win a monumental fight somehow to stick in this game. And all Drogo has to do is run away from these Locusts. Although that being said, this army coming around on the right-hand side here could be the pincer-in move that he needs to try and clutch this out.
Stephano's making this a game, actually. And look at all those Biles. Are they going to land on that army? I mean, Drogo's supply is plummeting, actually, which is really, really cool for Stephano.
Stephano's got to make so much happen here. His economy is shredded with this. This army that Stephano has to be the one that deals a big killing blow here to Drogo, I feel.
It definitely does. It definitely does. And these Swarm Hosts, as you rightly said earlier, they are a waste of supply right now, basically. And the Nidus getting taken down as well. It's a decent surround position by Stephano, but these Storms, they've really done so much damage. And finally, the Swarm Hosts are able to do something, but the rest of the army already melted away.
Yeah, Locust coming in here and will not be able to buy the time. PtitDrogo takes it 2-1 in the